What's good, YouTube? Welcome back for episode 4 of Automaton. So in the last episode, we got the ice drills up and all of that fun stuff. And this episode, I want to work a little bit on expanding the stone drills here. And I'm going to need to do quite a few things in order to expand the stone drills and get the ice up and running to where we don't have to worry too much about our power. So we're going to go ahead and work on the ice pistons over here. I want to add a couple pistons to, actually one piston to this so we can reach the bottom of the ice here. And then I want to expand on fixing some timers and all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to go ahead and take this guy here. And for some reason, oh yeah, he's toggled off because of the timers. So let me go stop the timers because they are still running. Okay, now they're both stopped. We're gonna go and find the correct piston here. That would be piston ice, and we're gonna reverse it. Now I've got some ideas here. It looks like we're gonna be doing a premiere for this video. So hi everybody in chat. I'm in chat now talking to you, hopefully, if everything goes right, because I did a vote on whether or not you guys would rather see a premiere and a live stream afterwards, and so far it looks like everybody wants to see both, so it's going to be pretty interesting. So make sure you stick around for the end of the video, or at the end of the video, make sure you go into the live stream. There should be a link I'll be popping up in chat for the live stream directly after. It will be about a 2-hour live stream. I want to go ahead and get some planning done in creative mode, which should be pretty interesting. I've got some pretty good ideas there, and we're going to be working with that. I want to make a huge factory out of this, and that's what we're going to be designing in the creative mode. Okay, so I'm cutting off all the drills here. There's going to be some reworking being done here, so this is going to take me a little bit of off-camera work. I need to pull this whole structure for the drills off and then replace it. Let me go ahead and finish this up. For some reason, this is toggled off. I thought I had turned all the timers off, but apparently I missed them. And I'm gonna have to do the same thing again. All right, there we go. And basically, I'm gonna pull these off, and I'm going to install another piston here. I want to name these pistons and group them all up. We're gonna have to do a lot of naming and grouping of pistons very shortly, because what I plan on doing is gonna take a while. All right, so this guy needs to be stopped. That's what it was. And stop. There we go. So if you look for the blinking one, it'll tell you which one needs to be stopped if you want to shut the system down. But I'll be right back with you. I'm going to go ahead and add that piston in here. All right, so I just finished up the welding here. I need to go ahead and do some more lights. So we've got light at night. Get that done real quick. And let's see, I'm going to need some construction components. Do I have any made up? I don't think I do. No, I don't. Okay. So let me go ahead and queue those up here. All right. So we'll just place these real quick. And once this is done, we can go ahead and group these pistons together and get all of that started there. I'm going to have to change a couple things on the timers while I'm doing that. But there's a couple things I wanted to fix on the timers anyway to make it a lot easier to control. So we'll get to that as well. Okay, so I'm naming all of these pistons correct for what they're supposed to be. So let's go for ice piston 1. And this is going to be a theme that you see throughout this playthrough here, is we're going to be very, very careful on naming things as we make them. The reason for that is the fact that we have to, we're going to have to group a bunch of things together because we're going to control them through timers and such. So it's a lot easier if we name them early. That way we can just go, okay, grab both of these pistons here. We can block groups, and we're going to call these ice pistons. Now we can control that entire group through a timer. So that just makes things so much easier. And if you try to go back and do it later, it's going to be a pain. So like these drills right here, these are pretty easy to grab. All we need to know is that they're the ones that show up white, because anything past any kind of connector is going to be a different color. So we're just going to grab all the white ones here, and we know that these are all the ice drills. So we're going to group these together as ice drills and save that. Now we've got the ice pistons and the ice drills in groups. And I believe that's all the groups we need for this. So let's go ahead and get started on fixing up our timers here. Now, our first timer, we're going to end up needing, I believe it's 3 timers. I've got it written out here. 5 timers total for the ice system, which is going to be perfectly acceptable. Let's see. I'm going to need 3 more of these. I'm going to end up making a timer room later, which means I'm going to have to go back through and change all the timers. But for now, this will be fine. So we're just going to add timer blocks here. We're going to need 3 more of these. So let me get those queued up. All right, so those are done. Now we're going to go ahead and start setting up some of these timer blocks. And I did have a question on the last video about the timer blocks. Someone said that they've had trouble figuring out the timer blocks, which totally acceptable. They can be confusing. When I first started this game, I had no idea what the timer blocks were all about. But I'm going to give a quick rundown and show you exactly what to do with the timer blocks to make things easier. So the way that you think about a timer block is it's a group, or it's a block that can do multiple actions. So it can do up to 9 actions per block. I believe you can trigger multiple through the same thing. I'm pretty sure that's how that would work, but we're going to test into that. I've never actually tried to, like, say, start timer block 2 and 3 simultaneously, which could be useful in the future. So hopefully that's a possibility. We're going to actually give it a test, or if anyone knows if you can do that, go ahead and pop it down in the comments below. That would be very helpful, by the way, because the system I want to build, or a couple of the systems I want to build in the future, are going to require that. But okay, so basically what it works out is you've got your toolbar down here, and on your toolbar you can put different actions. So you can either use groups, you can use lights, or regular blocks right here, as you see up here. So you can tell it to do whatever action you want it to do on this bar, and it'll go in sequential order and pop each one of these things on your toolbar here. Now you can chain into another timer block. So anytime that you need a delay for something, you're going to need a new timer block for it. Otherwise, if everything has to happen at the same time, you can do it that way. So one thing that I've found the timer blocks to be extremely useful for is whenever you have a bunch of actions you want to do all at the same time. So like, say there's an entire system that you want to shut on at the same time, just set up a timer block and trigger the timer block. That's all you got to do. You can do it. It'll perform up to 9 actions at a time. In fact, I believe there's even the extra toolbars here that you can use. So like shift 2, that's not it. That was the wrong button. I can't remember how to switch through, but yeah, you can switch through your toolbars according to whether you're on Xbox or PC. That's going to be a different thing to do. But once you switch through your toolbars, control for the PC, it's control 1, 2, 3, 4. So as far as I can tell, I've never tested this. In fact, if anyone has, let me know. But I believe you can set up multiple toolbars to where you can do all of those actions. So what would that be, like almost 100 separate actions that you can do on one timer block? That's getting kind of complicated. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to set this first timer block up for 12 seconds. So let's go out here, and the delay here, I'm going to control click on the delay so I can choose a time, and we're going to type 12. On the Xbox, it's different. I don't remember what the thing was for that. I'm going to have to pick up the Xbox controller a little bit more so I can maybe show you guys that later if anybody needs it. But, okay, so we're going to set 12 seconds here and then set up actions. Now, the first action that we need to do is we need to turn our pistons on, which is our ice pistons group here. So we're just going to drag this down here, and then we're going to toggle block on off. Actually, we're just going to turn it straight on because I believe that would be the smartest thing to do. That way we never get it messed up or mixed up. So we're just going to go down here, and instead of doing toggle block on off, we're going to toggle block on. That way we're guaranteed it's doing the right thing. And then we're going to hit timer block 2 here for start. So that's exactly what we've got set up there. And then we're going to go into timer block 2. This needs to be exactly 3 seconds. So 3 seconds again, even though we already had it set for that. And we're going to set up actions. Now we're going to come in here, and we're going to have to turn the pistons off. We want it to fire for 3 seconds in the downward direction. So we're just going to go toggle block off here. And then we're going to hit timer block 1 after that. So basically what this is going to do is this is going to set up an infinite loop. Every 12 seconds, it's going to pop 3 seconds worth of the pistons being on. So they're going to turn on, they're going to move down 1.5 meters because they're moving up 0.5 meters per second, and then turn off. That's all they're going to do. It's just going to continuously do that, which is exactly what we need to do to move downward. So that's good. And timer block 3, we needed to set up for 0 seconds, but 1 second delay is the least you can do. Like, you can't do a 0 second delay. If you type 0, it says it has to be between 1 and 3600. So we're just going to go for a 1 second delay here. Now, we can set this up as a trigger now if we want it to be completely instant, but 1 second's never going to hurt you as far as I can tell. So that's not going to be a problem. But this one, we need to turn the drills on. So we're going to go to groups, we're going to go to drills, and we're going to turn the drills on. I figured all of this off camera here. So we're just going to hit toggle block on, and we're going to want to turn our rotor lock off. So we're going to find the correct rotor here for the ice. Let's see, it's the only rotor we have, if I remember. Yeah, right here. Advanced rotor. We're going to rotor lock on off. And then we're going to trigger timer 2. This is our startup sequence. So we're not going to trigger it. We're going to start it. Remember, it's got a 3 second delay. So this is going to turn our drills on, and then it's going to turn our rotor lock on off, which will be off. And then it's going to trigger timer block 2 here. So that one's set up. We are going to rename this timer block. So that was what, timer block 3. I need to rename this. We're going to go start sequence ice, or start ice. This way we can kind of label our buttons without using any DLC content. There is a way to do it if you have DLC. There is a block here that was brought to my attention on the last video as well. That would be the sci-fi 4-button terminal here. The sci-fi 4-button panel here. Let me go get some fuel, and that will allow you to label your buttons, but most people don't have the DLC content, so I'm not really sure if I'm going to use that. I might, because it's nothing but, it's mostly cosmetic stuff, so I don't think I'm too worried about that. But we'll get into that later. Let's see, I need some fuel here, so let me go grab some hydrogen. And we're going to need energy as well, so I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I'm back. Okay, we've got this one set up as start ice, which is exactly what we wanted it to be named. That way, when it's in our button panel, it'll show up as start ice. And let's see, timer block 4, we still need to do here. And we're going to make this one stop timer block 1 and timer block 2, and then start timer block 5. So we're going to go into timer block 1, which would just be timer block. And we are going to stop. And then timer block 2 needs to stop as well. This way it'll stop it wherever it is in the rotation for timer block 1 and 2. And then it's going to start timer block 5. We're going to go ahead and trigger now for timer block 5 instead of start. That way it'll go instant and it doesn't matter what we set our delay for. And timer block 5 here, or 6, sorry. I guess I messed up with the 5. We're going to set the delay. Well, we don't really care what the delay is here, so we're not going to worry about that. And we're going to... Actually, yeah, we need a 15-second delay on this one. We didn't need to trigger now. Let's go ahead and fix that up. There is a reason for that. So let's right-click here. So if you mess something up here and you need to fix it, you can right-click the item down on the bottom if you're using a keyboard and mouse, and then you can change the option. So we're just going to go to start, and we are going to come back in here, and we're going to set up the time. We need this to be 15 seconds. This will give it time. Basically, it'll give it time to clear out wherever it's at. It's already stopped in its tracks, and it's just going to spin around and give a full rotation before it turns everything off, basically. So we're going to go for that, and we're going to go back in here and set up action. Okay, so this one, what we need to do is we need to turn the drill system off. So turn drills off, toggle block off, and we want to turn our rotor lock back on. So this will shut down the entire system when we use it. But it'll stop it in its tracks. We could add, in fact, we're only going to be using this when it's completely done anyway. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come down into all blocks, or actually groups, and we're going to take these ice pistons and we're going to reverse them as well. And then we're going to turn them on as well. So what that's going to do is it's going to raise up the pistons all the way to their fully retracted position. All right, so we're going to rename this one. We're going to say we're going to go for, that would be timer block 4 that needs to be renamed. It's going to be called reset. Okay, so we've got start ice and reset. Now we have 2 buttons to control the entire setup. That's why I wanted to go through and change everything. So now we can come through here and we don't have to worry about whether or not everything's in place and all of that fun stuff. So one thing I am going to have to do to start with is make sure that these are set in their initial positions. So we need timer block off, or we need this turned off. Okay, that's good. We need this toggled off as well. And we're going to reverse this so it's in the positive direction, so it'll push down. And that should be everything we need to do previous to starting this. So let's go ahead, come up to our block here. And we're going to set up actions here. We're going to remove these. So right click and remove from toolbar. And now we're going to take the, let's see, start ice is going to be number 1. And we're going to trigger now for that. And then we're going to take stop or reset. And we're going to put that on button 4 so they're far apart and we can remember which one's which. Easier. Now, if I remember right, this should say, yeah, you can see start ice trigger now and reset trigger now. So let's go on and give it a test. We're spinning, we are turned on, and let's just see if it lowers like it's supposed to after 13 seconds. There we go. Perfect. It's lowering a bit more than I wanted to. I forgot that we added another piston there. So we're going to just take these pistons and we're going to reduce their velocity to 0.25 instead of 0.5. That way it will be at the same speed lowering that it was before. We go down 1.5 meters or 2.5 meters. And that is completely done. And once this is finished drilling, we're going to test the reset button. Although I may need to reset now. Actually, I do want to reset now because we don't have enough storage for all of this stuff. So let's go ahead and hit the reset button and see if it works. Going to run for 15 seconds on this timer, and then it should stop everything and reverse out. Nice. And now I'm going to add another button here on number 3 to reverse those pistons. That way we've got a full reset. There we go. Let's see. I'm going to... I would need a timer block in order to set that up. So let's go ahead and set this one up to turn the pistons off. Okay. So everything's set right now. So that's totally good to go. And we need to work on storage now. We've only got one thing here, and we've only got one of these guys, and he's going to be working hardcore trying to take care of what ice we have here. So we're going to need to add a couple of these. We're going to add a couple H2 or hydrogen storage, and that way we can start worrying about our power. We're going to go ahead and make some hydrogen engines as well. Okay, so we're going to make 2 hydrogen storage units because we're going to actually be expanding this dramatically in the near future. So we're going to need as many hydrogen storage as we can get. We're probably going to do that once we start really digging into the side here. So we're going to be moving that around. I don't want to make too much now because that'll be a waste later. So 2 should be good for now. And we're going to also need some H2O2 generators. Now for every hydrogen engine that we run, we need 2 of these guys. So, and then we're going to want 1 to fill the tanks as well. So we're just going to go for 3 here total. And then we're going to add a hydrogen engine here. We're not going to need too many hydrogen engines to start with, but we will be expanding those later as well, since we're not going to go for immediate nuclear reactor. All right, so that's going to be our setup now. So I'm just going to go ahead and start working on getting some of this queued up and made and ready to go for you. Okay, so we've got our battery fully depleted in 25 minutes. We need to go ahead and get that filled up as soon as possible. We do have a hydrogen engine now, but I'm not sure if we have enough hydrogen to run it for very long. So we're just going to temporarily turn it on. See, make sure that it's okay. Everything's good here. I believe I may have this set up for stockpiling. Let me check into that real quick. No, I do not. All right, so this should be fine. We are filling this up. Good. So that means the hydrogen engine should cut on if I cycle its power real quick. See if it fills. Now, I've noticed some issues with these hydrogen engines. Sometimes they don't like to cut on immediately. You have to wait for a while. Sometimes it helps if you save your game and exit and reload. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here real quick. Yes, it worked. I heard it when I came back in, so that's perfect. My energy's critical, so I'm going to have to go hop on the seat real quick. But we just basically want to fill up our battery here, so it's going to be recharged in 41 minutes. We're going to let this run for a while. We're probably going to use up all of our hydrogen doing this, but that's fine for now. As long as we're getting a charge, we're fine. And we're going to let that recharge while we work on the other system over here. I want to do something a little bit different with the drills that we have for the rock, which I'll get into in just a second. I'm not going to fill up these, or I'm not going to finish these tanks quite yet. I don't think we're ready for that at the moment, so we're going to hold off on those. We're going to cancel those out. Even though we have the parts made up for them, we're going to use those parts for something else. Okay, so I'm going to take these pistons here. Let's see. These 3 pistons right here are actually the... Let's rename this. This is piston... So, rock piston 1. This one's rock piston 2. This one's rock piston 3. And we're going to group these together into rock pistons and reverse them. Pull this back in, and once this is back in, we're going to take the drill system that we have set up on this off, and we're going to turn it into a rotating drill system that's larger, that will drill through the side of the mountain here. That way we can get more materials, and once we do that, we can start worrying about the rest of this stuff. We just want to make sure we've got enough materials here for what we're doing. I actually had to go get a little bit of iron to finish up what we did before. Okay, so now that we've gotten the pistons retracted, it's time to start tearing down these drills because I'm going to be replacing them. So we're going to make a system that rotates and actually cuts out a much larger, I don't know about much larger, but a larger section of stone here. We're actually going to use less drills for a larger surface area. So that's going to be an interesting little setup there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a rotor. We're going to take another advanced rotor and add it to here. So let's go ahead and get that going. Now that we have the rotor, I'm going to add some drills. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do our 3 drills side by side like we did before. But off the back or off the top of it here, we're going to side fire one of these just like this. And then we're going to come back here. Let's see, I'm going to need to add this guy here. So let me go and grab some plates. And then we're going to add a drill right back here as well. And we need this drill to be slightly off from the rest of this because it needs to be further back than this spot right here. That way we can cut it out and it doesn't bind, which is why we did it like that. There's actually a reason for it, believe it or not. And then I can add, if I wanted to, I could add another one, but to like right there, but back further, but I'm not going to. We're just going to run it like this. So this will give us a larger surface area to cut out here, and it should cut everything out just fine. So let's go ahead and get this stuff fixed up. All right, so everything is ready to go now, so we can turn that on. I do want to set up a button panel for the rock drills real quick, so that'll be what we do next. First thing we need to do is we need to take these drills here and we need to basically save that into a rock drill setup. So these 5 drills, I believe it is. Yeah, those 5. We need to save these as rock drills. And we're probably going to need some timer blocks so we can control everything like we want to. Let's find out. Let's go for a button panel back here. Where is a good spot for it? Okay, we'll put that button panel right there. That should be a good spot for it. So let's go ahead and queue this up and get it ready to go. And for number 1, we're going to set this up under groups. We're going to find the rock drills. We're going to turn them on off. And number 2 is going to be rock pistons on off. And number 3 is going to be reverse for the rock pistons. And that should be everything we need to do for that one. Oh yeah, we need rotor lock too. So let's go ahead and find the rotor. And I need to rename the advanced rotor here. So let's get to the right rotor. Okay, this is the one that's at 360 because remember they start at 0 degrees, which is 360 degrees. So we're going to go for rock rotor here. That way we know which one's which, and we're going to rename the other one as well while we're at it to ice rotor. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of renaming here. Want to stay on top of it because like we're going to have so many different pistons and rotors and all of that before it's over with that we're definitely going to need to worry about that. All right, so let me go ahead and come over here to the button panel and make sure this is set up right. We're going to need rotor lock on here, or off, on off here. So rock rotor, and we are going to rotor lock on off. There we go. And now we just need to set up our speed. And we could do a timer setup for this, but I don't think we're going to need to. So let's go ahead and come in here and find our rotor. Share inertial tensor on everything. We're going to go ahead and rotor lock here. And let's set the velocity to 1. That way we get a full rotation per minute. So it's going to take 30 seconds to do a half rotation, but we're going to want to go 1.5 meters every minute. Or actually 5 meters every minute. So let's see. So I believe that's going to be a total velocity of 0.05. So we need to divide that by 3. And we need 0.0166 repeating meters per second velocity on the pistons. So let's go ahead and set that up. This will put us exactly 5 meters per minute. So we'll go 1 block forward every time we get a full rotation. That way we're never going too fast. We can up the speed later if we decide that it's too slow. This is just a quick idea of where we want to be, and then we can fine tune it later, which we're not really going to have to worry about at the moment for fine tuning. So let's go for negative 0.0166. And now we can just reverse these. See, we need the rock drills. Okay, so we're going to turn the drills on. That worked. And we are going to reverse the rock pistons, which we need to do here. And we need to turn the rotor lock off. Start our spinning. Oh, I hit the wrong... Okay, yeah. Rotor lock off and start spinning. We are good. This should cut through everything just like we want it to. I need to reverse the direction of the pistons or the rotors real quick. There we go. Because we need the smaller one to cut through before the bigger one cuts through, or else we're going to have that issue right there. Which we'll probably have in the beginning anyway, so let's go ahead and reverse these pistons just to make sure we start out where we want to be. Alright, so that first rotation is always going to be your hardest because you're going to have to cut through whatever's there. That's only if you don't place everything correctly to start with. But now that that rotation's done, we've got the smaller one leading the bigger one here like we wanted to. So it's going to cut through before this further out one cuts through, and it's going to give us a better directionality for it. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and start this piston back up here. We'll just reverse the pistons and let's see what it does. Now this should cut through just perfectly fine. In fact, I think we've got our pistons running a little too quickly, but we'll find out. We may not, actually. This looks pretty good. So as you see... Oh, let me fix this real quick before I get to that. Alright, so as you see here, we've got this shorter one cutting before the big one comes through. That way it doesn't bind up the big one. And as long as you step it like this, you can pretty much go as far out as you want to. You don't want the big one cutting through all of it by itself, because if it's more than 5 meters off, you're going to see issues like that a lot, where it'll get too jumpy and start breaking things and getting bound up and stuff like that. So you want to pay attention to stuff like that. So before this comes back around, it's going to cut off a section there, and it's just going to basically make everything easier for this back drill back here. And we are good to go on that. So let me make sure that we're not overfilling with rock here. If we are, we're going to need to add... Okay, we are going to need to add some more cargoes. So I'm going to go ahead and do a large cargo. I don't think we're making it quick enough to where it's going to be too much of an issue initially. So let's go ahead and grab the steel plate there, so we can place cargo. Oh, that's interior plate. Sorry, my bad. Okay, we're going to add 2 more cargo here. That should be plenty for now. And I think I'm going to leave this video here. In between videos, I will go ahead and finish up these cargo containers and probably add an assembler as well before the next video. Also, make sure you stick around if you're watching the premiere here. Make sure you stick around for the live stream directly afterwards. It'll be about a 2-hour live stream. We'll be doing some creative mode to plan out what we're going to be doing for the massive ice drill and hangar bay that we're going to be working on. So I'll see you there. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. If you haven't already, please drop a like to let me know that you did. Also, if you decide you want to help monetarily with the channel, hit that join button down below. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, click one of the videos on your screen now. Thank you. Have a nice day.